Hi everyone, it's Jung here for Hip Kit Club. Today I'm sharing a layout that I made with the April 2019 Hip Kits, and I was challenged to use the B sides of the pattern paper, and so that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be using the main kit, the Pocket Life kit, the embellishment kit. I'm going to be using a cardstock from the cardstock kit, and then the stencil from the color kit. Originally, I had planned to make a background filled with pattern paper strips, and so I was just trimming some of the papers down. And there's a few pattern papers that would look great as background frames, so that's why I'm gutting them. In just a bit, I decided that I wanted to do layered hearts embellishments instead, and I've made layered hearts embellishments on several of my layouts before. It's something that I really like to do with pattern paper, and so I thought I would use it on this layout and show it in a video. Along with the B sides of the pattern paper, I'm also going to choose a few of the 2x2 squares from the mini Paige Evans paper pad. So I'm going to use a die cut machine, and I'm going to be using my metal dies, but if you don't have a die cut machine or metal dies, you could use punches. You can hand cut hearts. Hearts are pretty easy to cut out, or you can use your silhouette machine and cut out some hearts and make layered hearts that way. I have about 6 different sized hearts here, and I'm going to make sure to cut out each pattern paper with each size. That way, when it comes to making my layered hearts, I have a variety of different patterns I can choose from. So you can see them all cut out here. I like to separate them by size so it can be easy to choose from. And I'm just going to start from biggest to smallest, and I'm going to vary them with pattern, with how many layers of hearts I have. Some I'll do 4, some I'll do 3, some I'll just do 2, and even some I'll just leave them a single layered, and I like to vary up the hearts that way. You can see some of the hearts that I cut out from the Paige Evans 2x2 paper pad, and I really love that yellow floral one. The 2x2 paper pads are included in the April Pocket Life kit, and I really love to use these for punching. They would also make great squares to make a patchwork background. And you could also fussy cut some of the pattern papers. They have floral designs on them. One of them had a heart that I die cut out of, and it said "Love you" for my previous layout, so these mini pads are great. So after finally deciding this is how I want my layered hearts to look, I decided that I need a couple of more the yellow hearts. They say that odd numbers is pleasing to the eye, and so I wanted at least 3 of the yellow hearts. I don't always follow this rule, but I definitely needed more than one. So off camera, I went ahead and put them together. I just add a tiny drop of glue to the center of the heart and then glue them together just so it'll hold it in place while I machine stitch it down the middle. And the reason I only want to use a little bit of glue is because I want to be able to fluff the hearts up. This is the photo that I will be scrapping, and it's a photo of my middle daughter. She had a project at school to make something useful with materials from the recycle bin. And she made this Dachshund pencil holder, and she pretty much did the whole project herself. I just helped her with the glue gun. I'm going to be using this paper that I previously made for my last layout. I'll show you it here. I wanted to use a stencil, and I couldn't decide whether I wanted a purple cardstock or a white cardstock for my background, so I made them both at the same time while I had all the supplies out. And I ended up using the purple one, so I had this white one left over, and of course I wanted to use it because that Hip Kit Club exclusive Paige Evans stencil is so pretty. So I do apologize for not having that part included in the video, but I often do that if I'm going to have my supplies out and I'm going to dirty up the stencil. I'm going to make multiples of it, and that way they can also dry. And so all I did to make it, I took the cardstock that I wanted in the stencil and I laid it on top, and then I just added some texture paste on top. I moved the stencil down, added more texture paste, and once it was dry on this particular one, I added some ink splatters or paint splatters. I hope that made sense. Okay, back to my layout. As you saw before, I had cut out the photo to look like a Polaroid, and I wanted it to stand out from the background, and so I'm going to mount it on some of this light pink cardstock. And I wanted to have it textured a bit, so instead of just trimming it with a paper trimmer, I wanted it to have that torn look. And so that's what I'm doing here. And then also, while I was telling you about the background, I had a look through the Hip Kit Club exclusive puffy stickers, and those are included in the Pocket Life kit. And you can see there I chose the word perfect. And I originally picked out that circle, "You did this," and I really liked the saying for this layout, but eventually I decided not to use it because I'm not using any other circle shapes, and I didn't want it to be the only one. So I ended up just using the perfect and a bunch of the little puffy hearts. So I was just looking through some of the other embellishments from the other kits, and I found this flag from the Dear Lizzie ephemera, and it says "ta-da," which is perfect because that's something my daughter totally says, and so I wanted to add it to the layout on the left. And then I kind of place the hearts where I like them, and I actually like it better there than I end up with, but that's fine. So I take a picture of it so I can kind of remember where it is, and then I took my layout off camera and I cut off the branding strip. And now I have to attach everything on there, which is kind of a pain because nothing wants to stick to the embossing paste, the texture paste. So I'm going to do a mixture of double-sided tape and liquid glue, and I hope that they stay on there. Also, if you hear any background noise, I have my toddler next to me, and we all know how loud toddlers can be. And I also have my 2 dogs at my feet. One of them snores very loudly, even as loud as my husband, and he's a tiny little thing. Do your dogs snore? Okay, so now that my hearts are pretty much attached, I'm just going to be embellishing my layout and adding a couple of more hearts here and there to kind of fill in the spaces. Like I said, I tried to fit that circle "You did this" in, but it doesn't make it on the layout. I'm going to be creating my title using the Hip Kit Club exclusive Puffy Alpha, and that's included in the Pocket Life kit also. And I'm going to be spelling out "Recycling Project." And again, because of the texture paste, it's not going to really want to stick to my layout, so I end up taking it off camera and stitching it with my sewing machine. So before I go any further, I want to make sure and leave room for my journaling, and I decided right under the photo would be the perfect spot, so I'm going to leave that spot empty. And now here's the part where I just kind of move the hearts around and see where I want them to go, be indecisive and all of that. You know. Again, that's why layouts take me such a long time, because of my indecisiveness. But this is what I came up with. And I went ahead and took my layout off camera and I stitched down the title. And then I noticed that one of my hearts wasn't adhered, and so I go ahead and take care of that now. And again, I'm using a combination of double-sided tape and liquid glue. And also, if you notice on my hearts, I decided to leave some of the messy thread on. Some of them I taped to the back of the hearts, and I just didn't want the layout to get too messy looking. So again, I'm going to take care of the threads from the title. I'm just going to pull them back in the back, and I will add some tape to that later on. And now I'm just going to add some little tiny glitter hearts. Those are Chamel, and I used the pink and purple ones because they looked really good with the colors of the pattern paper hearts. And then I'm just going to use some of the leftover little die cut hearts and fill in some of the empty spots. Next, I'm going to be pulling out the Hip Kit Club exclusive puffy stickers again, and I'm just going to be filling in some of those spots with the puffy hearts. I really love when we get little embellishments. They're perfect for filling in those little spots that just need a little something extra. I really love these Hip Kit Club exclusive puffy stickers. Like I said, the size is perfect, but the sentiments are perfect as well, and I really love the watercolor look of the scripty words. They're so pretty. And then once I get all the hearts where I want them, I'm going to take my liquid glue and add a little bit to the puffy stickers and the glitter hearts. Again, just to keep them adhered to the layout because of the texture paste. Next, I'm going to add some tiny slivers of foam squares to some of the hearts. I want to make sure that dimension and texture stays intact when I put them in my album. Now, I know that some of the hearts are going to get squished, but at least I'll have a little bit of dimension there. And I'm going to add at least one layer of foam tape to each of the hearts. And once I was finished adding the foam squares, I added journaling strips that I typed up on the computer, and that's my layout done. I hope you check out the April 2019 Hip Kit Club kits. The May kits are out also, so take a look at those as well. Don't forget to check out the information bar for links to the kits. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.